us how infection control has to evolve. When we talk about evolution of the infection control, it has to keep the pace of what's going on around the world, why we are doing infection control, and why it's important. The light can be dimmed, so the slides can be clear, more clear. You can change it, thank you. So for all of us here, available, you are infection control practitioner or bioprofessional because you believe on the role of infection control. Why it's important for all of us. We all know that the future is very difficult to predict, especially in relation to infectious disease. So I'm talking about an infectious disease, specialist and consultant. We don't know what's going to happen, but considering all the changes that's happening, whether the pandemic that we just got out of it or the next pandemic that we don't know when it will start, we know that AMR, which is the antimicrobial resistance, is a major concern for all of us. So when we talk about the AI in one lecture, or the residency infection control, which is great because we are worried. If you are looking infection control, for years, how difficult is it to implement. How difficult is it not to achieve what we are looking for all the time? And we have to keep doing what we are doing every day and every single meeting to make sure that we are addressing it. The basic things in all healthcare facilities and as physicians to do no harm. But the way we are practicing medicine, we are doing harm, we are transmitting infection, people are dying because the way we are conducting our work. Infection control, infectious disease, and AMR is very important, and it's related to the Sustainable Development Goals. So the whole world actually is looking at it, and probably you know that this year is called the AMR year because there are two high-level meetings conducted. One of them is the United Nations. They will meet end of September, they will discuss only AMR. The other meeting is the Minister of Health of all the world will join in Saudi Arabia by November to talk about AMR. This is how important, and this is why you feel and you are valuable to everyone around the world. So hospital-acquired infection, they are really having great impact. I'm sure you are here, you know about them, I'll not go over them. It's morbidity, it's mortality, it's cost. So that's you put it at the top of your mind and you know that how important is it. So I'll go about a couple of things before I get to the innovation and the far UV, which is the ultraviolet. What's the impact? Why the whole world is talking about it? This article actually look at the most organisms that probably you see in your institution. All of us are suffering this bacterial infection. And if you see in this analysis, they are telling you about the impact of resistant hospital readmission. So if you have resistant organism, more likely your patient will be readmitted. More likely your patient will stay longer in the hospital. More likely your hospital will die, so mortality is more. So having the organism as Staph aureus or Acinetobacter by itself is a risk. But if you have MRSA or multi-drug resistant organism, it's worse actually. And this is really compromising all the healthcare system. This is too much detail, but if you see there, we are missing something in our region, the Middle East region. Our publication is not good enough. Our publication is not too much that address. For example, if you go across the region to see the economic impact of antimicrobial resistance, not much. You will not find much. The other countries were able, especially the big countries, we are talking about England, Japan, USA, and China, and USA, and they are talking, this is why they are concerned. Billions of dollars per year will be lost. This is why infection control is important. This is why the idea of residency is great, because we need competent people to be able really to carry the work we are looking for. This is from CDC United States. They are talking about the top organism that we have, and they are talking about billions of dollars. Billions. So if you will start any project and bring any new innovation, believe me, it is cost effective. Because if you compare it to the loss that you find, it's not even comparable. So if somebody told you it's not cost effective, I'm sure that you will have a good really answer to that. The other thing that's related to our region, which is very important, whether this is when they talk about high income versus low or middle income country. But I'll give you a good example. When we come to, this is the most well-known kind of surveillance that they have, they produce data to see the rate of CLABSI, CAUTI, bloodstream infection, and even surgical site infection. And if you see, if it was, for example, high-income country, Usually the rate is much lower than ICTES, which is the international human surveillance system. It's much, much lower than the region. But believe it or not, it's not only income. This is where competency comes in the issue. And I'll tell you what's the example. The example is from our region. These are the publication across the board. It's small font, you'll not be able to see it. But I'll give you just a good example, from where I come. I'm from Bahrain, come from the Gulf countries. They are considered a high-income country, but when we did our studies in our countries, we have higher rates of hospital-acquired infections than the developed countries. So income versus high low is not the only major factor. There is competency, there is training, and believe me, there are a lot of low-income countries, they will be able to reduce their hospital-acquired infection. So it's not only income. This is a very good article, you have to look into it. It was actually published by the Emro Region Office of the WHO, and I'm sure you know Dr. Amha. She's been here for long. I'm sure she worked with a lot of you here in Egypt. And this is the alarming bloodstream infection that we have is most of them are resistant. See, Acinetobacter, Klebsiella, E. coli, MRSA. We are not doing well in the region as a whole, and this is how we are compared to the rest of the world with different organisms. So really, it's not good. I found this article because it's from Lebanon. So it's not, from UCC, not from here. This is what I found. They did a great job because they want to see the cause of hospital-acquired infection, because asking for innovation, asking for a program of residency, you have to prove your administration. We have costs, we have to cover it. So this is a very good article. They compare community versus hospital-acquired infection. And if you see, it's all, the p-value was very significant. It's very costly to the health system. Very costly, and this is where we have to take extra measures, and even to mortality and to other. The problem what happened with all of us, we were hit with COVID-19. We thought with an antimicrobial resistance, we are doing great job. When COVID-19 hit, we didn't do, we were back. These data from CDC in the United States, they found when the COVID-19 came in the picture, they have increased rate of the resistant organisms. So even whatever advances has been done before the COVID-19, it really was worse during the COVID-19 pandemic. And these there were rates of hospital-acquired infection and resistant over the years of the pandemic. So when you are planning for infection control program, make sure you don't have pandemic or epidemic that will exist. So we learned our lesson. I know that most of the hospitals, not all the hospitals, not only our region, they were better during COVID-19. After COVID-19, most of us go back to their normal status. So high hygiene is not the best, and even the other measures of infection control, and we knew that we have to take care of extra measures. We know hand hygiene, PPE. But if you are practicing infection control, this is not easy to have the competency. And I love the word that, Dr. mentioned, is optimizing how we make it really right. That's our challenge most of the time. So the environment comes. So what's shipping for us, all these infections should be preventable, and still we are losing life. The source of infection, we know it. The chain infection, we know it. We don't have to go about it. We have only two major things that we can do: infection control and maximum or better utilization of our antibiotics. But the issue from here, this is the region, over the years, there were a lot about us, all of us questioning our infection control. And all the time the environment, how hard, if I ask any of you, how much will you be sure to make sure that your cleaning and checklist was done? Will you do surveillance every day, environmental swab to see what's happening? No. Do you trust your cleaning staff? Yes, we train them. We blame the supervisor. We blame nurses in the floor, or in the walls. But believe me, it's very difficult to keep the area clean. Here, they have all their updated guidelines, and for example, for CEDAR, they added the question of environmental cleaning. So we learned our lesson for COVID-19, but environment was not addressed very well. So comes the innovation. This is the extra layer of protection. I'm telling you, it's not the only solution. You have to have a perfect infection control system, and you add ultraviolet, far ultraviolet to your facility, you will be in good condition. You tell me you have HEPA filter. HEPA filter, we used it for years. It doesn't help much. It can, but It's not the only solution because most of the organisms we know they can pass through the HEPA filter and they will come to the area you are. And even the rate air exchange, we are doing it, it's doing very well, but still not the solution because still we have our outer breaks, so we don't know. So what's for you know, ultraviolet C? The ultraviolet spectrum A, B, C, we not talk about, they will go only to C. There's range which is not working, safe range, and harmful. This is where we are worried about the side effects. We are talking about this, and this is where UV medical lamps are there to provide this extra protection. What it does at UV 222, it kills the organism, it penetrates to the microorganism, RNA, DNA, kill it, but at the same time, it's safe on the eye and on the skin, because we have, it does not go through the skin, so it's good. So it's safe and effective, and if you compare it with the rest available, laminar flow, UVC at 254, because we used before ultraviolet machine for decontamination during COVID, it didn't work. You have to keep the machine for hours. You have to leave the room empty before and after. It's just a hassle for all of us. And you don't have enough days to keep them empty to wait for another patient. So it's not the easy way to keep it, but this, you know, is safe. And it's usually a device, you put it in the room, it's continuous decontamination, safe and effective. So that's a measure for all process infection control. So safe can decrease hospital-borne infection, decrease multi-drug-resistant organism. But I'll tell you something, don't really care about this because this is a general instruction from the United States to have an extra layer of protection, and they talk about UVC. And believe me, you will see more from CDC, from SHIA, and even from WHO. It will come to approve that you have to have it. Surgical site infection, I know that there was talk about the surgical site, how really it's compromised all surgical procedure. That we know of and that we are utilizing because it's really very costly. And there are a lot of evidence in the literature that tell us there is a direct link between contamination of the operation room, air, and the service for increasing surgical site infection. And I give you, what's the evidence? We'll go about the evidence for the time, and then I'll tell you real world data. Evidence. There are a lot of articles now. Please go to PubMed, Google, and write far UVC for prevention. You will see how much is happening over the last 3 to 5 years. It's coming in the picture, it's coming really strongly. This is just to tell you how much it can affect the multi-drug resistance, especially like C. diff. You know C. diff will sit somewhere, it's hard to get it from the hospital. So it helps in decreasing the contamination. This is another study for C. diff colitis, another for Staph aureus, decontamination. And if you see the drop in the amount of pollens and pathogen after you started, you put in the UV in the room, and I'll show you even real world data. It's helpful actually decrease bloodstream infection. Once it's proven that it can. The others, E. coli, CF. Another one, it's improved the airborne. And why airborne is very important? You know, if a second pandemic will happen, it will be another airborne. Because this is the easiest to have a pandemic. An organism, easily transmittable, and it can. So it can decrease it. It works for the coronavirus. It works for the influenza. And again, you have it for the new, we say what's the new one in the fashion, Candida aureus. If you don't have Candida aureus in your hospital, you are lucky. If you have Candida aureus, so you join the group because all of us now having the Candida aureus, very tough organism to treat. Once in your hospital, it's hard to get rid of it. We are losing wards and area one by one for Candida aureus, and it's proven. And these all recent publication, by the way, is within the last 2 years. Nothing is old publication. This is another one which was recently published. After you put it only within hours, drop the colonies of the Candida on the surfaces. And whether it was steel or plastic or glass, it can decontaminate it and make it better. And this is also across cigarette area. Again, I will emphasize, please concentrate on this square. Ultraviolet, far UVC is really great. It is an add-on. It's not only, so don't think that you will put the device and will take care of the infection control. No, it's an and/or, because you cannot put UV in a dirty area to not clean it. So you have to have a good infection control measures, and you add the UV. Again, this is the same recommendation by other articles, so it's really good. It's been approved by a lot. It's developed by, in Denmark, supported by Denmark, and actually mentioned WHO, CDC, and with ISO. But believe me, the more recommendation will come from CDC and WHO in the next couple of years because they are collecting data, real world data. From Denmark, they tried it, they decreased bacterial load in the hospital in one of the hospital. In the COVID-19, they started in a couple of areas, they measured, and they were taking good care of it. Ambulance, as infection control, you know, did you get inside the ambulance, you see how much stuff are there? You think we can clean them? No, nobody can clean it. So this is probably an option for the ambulance. This is done in Saudi Arabia in different hospital, in Ministry of Health. We'll not go into details, but see the amount of organism, and after only a couple of hours, you get cleared out. This is other hospital in Saudi Arabia. This is in Bahrain, Salman Medical Complex, the largest governmental hospital, huge, really hospital with a lot of infection, and they were able by installation of the device to decrease it. That in United Arab Emirates, in a couple of hospitals, in lab, in ICU, all them they practice, and all these were piloted across our region, and they saw that really a good outcome. So the benefit is clear to all of us. You will put the device, it's continuous, unobstructed, you don't have to move it and bring it and empty the room, it's out, it's there, autonomous, works by itself, smart, sensor, it will tell you what's happening, and it has a long life ready to stay, reduction in MDRO and hospital infection, everything else, because if you compare it to the cost of people life and morbidity and mortality, believe me, it's cost effective. So some taking good points, I think we continue, as I started the presentation, evolve in the field of infection control. We cannot stay where we are. And there are a lot of evidence. We all usually talk about cost, but if you look at infection control, believe me, more cost effective than the other measures we are doing for prevention for other diseases. And I think, my personal opinion, in infection control, we have to do more than less, especially looking for the future. And we know that the pandemic is coming the next, who knows when, but it's coming, and that's not the question. But the question remains, are we ready for it? And I tell you, I come from the region that probably they did a lot. We are not ready for the next pandemic. We need to be ready, and we have to stabilize our system. And I think it's, again, sustainability, which is not there in most of our hospitals. And this is where I think you have to go back home. There are a lot of things that all of us know, which is clear to everybody. Then there's something that us as specialists, we know. There's something that you should know, and this is where new innovation is coming, we have to utilize it, like the AI, we should utilize it, how we can use it in our system, and something will remain unknown. We don't know about it, we don't know that it's pandemic, but doesn't mean that we don't get ready for it. So hopefully that helps how we can evolve in the infection control. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you.